And the first thing that we'll do with pro bono tools is we'll talk about a little bit of the basics. So pro bono attorneys in your system will be users, as long as the person needs to have assignments made to them and or time attributed to them. If we want to find a pro bono attorney in the system, the easiest way is to come to our users section front. And most, if not all of you, will have two separate tabs here, one for staff, one for pro bono. And the pro bono list view is going to be automatically filtered to show you only people with their advocate user type set to pro bono. There are a couple of special things about pro bono users that either typically don't apply to staff users or just want to point out that can be helpful when working with pro bono users. The first is what we call the extra information. So from this pro bono attorney account, I'm going to go up to Actions, Edit Extra Information. Here we can see things like the languages that this attorney speaks, the bar number, but then this section at the bottom is specific to pro bono users. And here's where we're selecting the problem codes that this person works with and the counties that they work in as well. Both of those things are going to be used when we're going to assign a pro bono to a case. So if the pro bono attorney matches the case as far as problem code and counties, they will show up by default for that case. So essentially, the assignment list view is going to try and find the best attorney for the case. We then have our recommend pro bono attorney notes, and this is up to you what you want to put in here, but it will appear on the assignment list view. So anything that could be helpful to a user when they're deciding if this pro bono attorney would be right to assign to their case. Another thing to mention about pro bono attorneys is that you are able to give them access to log into Legal Server, but that is entirely up to you. Some programs will have a set of pro bono attorneys who have access to their Legal Server site and some additional pro bono attorneys that do not. So it's not an all or nothing. You can definitely decide to have just a set of pro bono attorneys who have that access. And typically, if anyone does have that access, any pro bono attorneys, you would put them under the pro bono restricted access role, which is a user role. That user role by default is quite limited. Users under that role are only able to view the cases that they're assigned to. They can do a couple of small things like adding a note, adding a document, sometimes adding time. Typically, they're restricted as far as things they can edit, but that is all completely configurable. So whatever you want your pro bono attorneys who log in to have access to view and edit and enter information, you'd be able to configure that to your specifications. The last thing to mention about the users in general is that you can also have them tagged to an organization. So we call this the organization affiliation. And the benefit to that is, of course, two main things. One is that you'd be able to see here on the user profile, as well as on the organization profile, that this person, this attorney, is connected to that organization. And you can also pull that into reports and such. The other benefit is that if you bind their work address to the organization, which is set right here, then the work address for this pro bono attorney is going to flow directly from the organization record. So if we go up to our organizations and find ABC Referrals Organization, this is the address that is being pulled into our user's profile. Now the main benefit to that is that you then, if let's say this law firm moves down the street next week, and we have 40 different attorneys who are part of that law firm. If they're all affiliated to the law firm, the organization record, and they're all set to bind the work address, we would only have to update that address in one place, which would be on the organization record. Now, if they're not all connected, affiliated, we would have to update the address in 40 different user profiles.